the 21st century, it's easy for us to grasp all concepts of how the world came to be. This was not the case in the early 20th century. By the 1920s, most biologists accepted Darwinism and natural selection. However, it was not allowed to be taught in public schools. The most significant reason for resistance to Darwinism came from Christian fundamentalists. Reason being that they believed the spread of Darwinism would go hand in hand with the spread of atheism as well as immorality. They believed citizens had a constitutional right to ban Darwinism from schools predominantly financed by their taxes. Because of these beliefs, especially in the South, a law called the Butler Act was passed, which made it a crime to teach an evolutionary theory that denied divine creation, as stated in the Bible. Although this act was rarely enforced, it deterred biology teachers from teaching evolution. In response to this, the American Civil Liberties Union volunteered to pay for the legal expenses for teachers persecuted by the Butler Act. Civil leaders realized that if they purposely broke the Butler Act, they could test its constitutionality and help Dayton's economy because of all the reporters and spectators that would show up. Hello? Yes, this is Scopes. And who am I speaking to, may I ask? Yes, I am aware of the Butler Act. I happen to strongly oppose it. Violate the act? I guess I'll do it. After all, these kids do need to be exposed to other ideas. Tomorrow, I'll get right on it. Hello students, today I will be teaching you about the theory of evolution. The theory states that we have all evolved from single-celled organisms, such
John
as...
T. Scopes, you are under arrest for violation of the Butler Act. I'm going to need to take you downtown.
Very well, I won't resist.
Thank you.
I, William Jennings Bryant, will represent the World Christian Fundamental Association at the trial to support the Butler Act. I believe that evolution and social Darwinism are misused to justify imperialism and that the only true word is the word of the Lord.
I, Clarence Darrow, will represent John Scopes at the trial and cover all of his legal expenses. Sorry I'm late. Someone sent my good suit to the dry cleaners, and apparently here in Dayton, Tennessee, y'all don't have a 1-hour dry clean service, so I had to pick up this at the thrift shop.
You all may be seated. Today we are here for the trial of the state of Tennessee versus John Thomas Scopes. The crime against John Scopes is that he violated the Butler Act. Let's get right into it. The prosecuting attorney may present his opening statement.
Your Honor, if I may, it's very hot in here. Will you grant us the option to remove our extraneous articles of clothing?
It's only, 90 degrees in here? If you need to, you may remove clothing. Attorney Brown, you may present.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a school teacher here in Dayton who has taught your children that Darwinism goes against your humble beliefs as Christians that the good Lord created life. He violated the Butler Act, and it is my goal to defend the act, as well as to find John Scopes guilty, so that your children may not be poisoned from the evil teachings of evolution.
You may present your witness.
I'd like to call Tommy to the stand.
May you stand? Do you solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may sit.
So you're a student of John Scopes, right?
Yes.
And at any time, did he teach you any method of evolution, anything other than creationism?
I believe so. I kind of remember learning about these single-celled organisms.
Can you explain how these organisms grew?
I think they grew arms and legs. I don't really remember though.
And at any time, did he teach you creationism or that God created life?
No, sir. He never mentioned anything about God.
Thank you, Tommy. You were dismissed. This is why the Butler Act must be upheld. Our children, God's children, may lose their faith.
Hey, William, you want to hear a funny joke?
What?
The 3 times you ran for president.
Attorney Darrow, that type of humor will not be tolerated in court.
Sorry, Your Honor. I thought this was a comedy club after William gave that hilarious joke of an opening statement.
Darrow, if you feel so inclined to speak right now, you may give your opening statement.
Thank you. My client is not guilty. He did not deny what the Bible states for creation, and he has a right to academic freedom and what he teaches. It is detrimental to a student's mind if they are not taught everything the world has to offer. I'd like to cross-examine Tommy, please. Did Mr. Scopes ever deny creationism and say it was wrong and say that the only correct reasoning was evolution?
No, as I said before, he never said anything about God in the Bible, let alone deny it.
Okay, thank you. You are dismissed. So, my client did not violate the Butler Act because he did not deny creationism. He just didn't teach it. There's no hard evidence besides a witness examination to prove that John Scopes says something that violates the law.
John Scopes admitted to teaching evolution as his arraignment, thereby disobeying the intent of the Butler Act. So I accept the prosecution's evidence.
Well, I would like to call a witness of my own, a zoologist from Johns Hopkins University, to argue in support of the evolutionary theory, to prove to these people that John Scopes is not teaching your kids poison and blasphemy, or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Thank you, Attorney Darrow. However, their testimony will not be necessary to prove whether or not John Scopes broke the law.
But maybe it might make this freaking state realize how unconstitutional and ridiculous their law is, instead of progressing or regressing.
That is enough from you, Darrow. Sit down before you find yourself in contempt of court. You know what? Court dismissed. We will resume tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Wow, this Scopes trial is huge. All the newspapers are covering it.
We'll resume with the prosecution. Attorney Bryan, you may speak.
Thank you, Your Honor. After yesterday, I realized that we have a bigger issue on our hands than whether or not John Scopes broke the law. It is now a time to defend the Bible and all the truths it holds for how we became to be.
Wait, how is he allowed to talk about the Bible? You denied me my zoologist. How is Willie here allowed to talk about the Bible?
Because he's speaking in support of the act. And quiet down, Darrow.
How the hell does that make any sense?
Oh, shut up.
Ugh.
As I was saying, we have the issue of people, good people, turning away from the word of the Bible in order to support this new, modern, yet dangerous Darwinism. Did you know that Darwinism had inspired German militarism? We must follow the exact words of the Bible on how to live because it is the only source of truth. The world will be damned if we choose any other path, so choose wisely.
Dare I ask? Attorney Darrow, is there anything you would like to say?
Wow, what an honor, Your Honor. I didn't think you'd be so merciful. Granted, I forgot you were a Christian. Oh wait, how could I? You're obviously favoring the Holy One over here.
Get on with it.
Okay. I'd like to call Golden Boy over here, Mr. William Jennings Bryant, to stand as witness to the Bible and its teachings.
What? No, I object.
Only I can object. And I don't object this. Let me see where Mr. Darrow goes with this.
Fine.
Hey, Billy. How are you, buddy? So, you've done a lot of studying in the Bible, am I right?
Yes, I would say I have. For about 50 years, though I study it more now as I grow older.
So, do you believe that everything in the Bible should be literally interpreted?
It's true I believe in everything in the Bible, though some of it should be interpreted figuratively. For example, the line, "Ye are the salt of the earth," does not imply that humans are actually salt.
So, when you read that Jonah swallowed the whale, when the whale swallowed Jonah, how do you literally interpret that?
First of all, the Bible says a big fish, not a whale. And I believe in a God who can make a whale out of a human as he wishes.
Do you believe God made the whale for the purpose of swallowing Jonah?
Well, I can't answer that. The Bible says it was just done.
Okay. So you don't know if this was any old whale or a special one made to swallow Jonah?
Well, the Bible does not say it, so I'm not prepared to do so.
But you believe in a God that made that fish and that it was big enough to swallow Jonah?
Well, yes.
Could you believe that Jonah swallowed the fish?
If the Bible said so, but the Bible doesn't make any claims to that extreme, unlike the evolutionists.
Okay. Well, Nick, go on. Mr. Bryan, did you ever find out how Cain got his wife?
No, but I've never tried to find out.
The Bible says he has one, though, right? Were there other people on the earth at that time, though?
I cannot say.
You cannot say. Did you ever consider that fact, that there might not have been other people on the earth at that time?
That doesn't bother me.
There were no other people recorded at the time, but somehow Cain had a wife. What, was he born out of God's mind like Zeus with Athena?
Well, the Bible just said that he had a wife.
And you accept that?
Why, of course.
Okay. Do you believe the story of the flood to be a literal interpretation?
Well, yes.
When was it?
I wouldn't try to guess the date. It is fixed.
About 4004 BC?
That is an estimate, but I wouldn't say it is correct, though.
Is it printed in the Bible?
No, but that was the estimate given.
Do you know what the Bible says? Do you know how they got that answer?
I never tried to do a calculation.
A calculation from what?
I don't know.
From the generations of man?
I wouldn't say that.
What do you think?
I do not think about the things I don't think about.
Well, do you think about the things you do think about?
I do not think, well, sometimes.
All right, order, please.
You piss me off. You really do. You insult every man of science and learning just because he believes in your religion.
Court adjourned! Court adjourned!
Oh, come on!
Okay, let's get right to it. The jury has come to a consensus and they have found John Scopes to be guilty of violating the Butler Act through his teachings of evolution. John Scopes will be fined $100 as punishment. Attorney Darrow, do you wish to give a closing statement?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, the prosecution will not be allowed to make a closing statement either. I consider the case of John Thomas Scopes v. the State of Tennessee to be closed. Scopes appealed his fine, saying that the Butler Act violates his freedom of speech. 2 years later, in Scopes v. State, it was found that the act followed the state's constitution, but it overturned his punishment of $100 because the jury should have decided the fine, not the judge. The trial demonstrated the difference between traditional religious beliefs and modern, more scientific views. Although the case didn't solve whether or not the Butler Act violated the U.S. Constitution, it was repealed in 1967. In 1968, in Epperson v. Arkansas, it was decided that prohibiting teaching a scientific theory on religion groups was unconstitutional. Okay, let's get right to it. The jury has come to a consensus, and they have found John Scopes to be guilty of violating the Butler Act.
So, do you think that everything in the Bible should be literally interpreted? Sorry, this heat is like driving me cray-cray.
Well, we're refilming that. We're too serious.
Yeah.
Cool.
What are you doing? Okay.
I was a 3-time Olympic gold medalist from Yugoslavia. Damn right.
Were you now?
Yes, I was. I, Clarence Darrow, was a 3-medal
Oh my god.
Smile, Nicole.
I have an idea. We could finish.
The British are coming! The British are coming! Wait. This doesn't look like 1776. Where am I?